All right, grown-ups, it's just our time. I love the babies, but to help you, I gotta speak my mind. This segment's here to help you grow with book reviews, lessons, and things you'll be glad to know. If your little one's restless or looking to play, send them to my other playlist. The read-alouds there will brighten their day. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Teacher Lady Show. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Teacher Lady Speaks. I'm Miss Erica, the Teacher Lady, your fairy godparent when it comes to sharing joyful stories and growing young minds. Now, every single week on the show, we have a new theme or topic, and this week's topic is all about organization and time management. How are we making sure to set our children up for success when it comes to probably one of the most critically important life skills, and that is effectively managing your time, keeping your space organized, and just feeling good about your environment overall. And of course, we're using picture books to be able to do so. Now, this week on Monday, we started off strong with overscheduled Andrew over on the Teacher Lady Reads. We also had Dylan's Dragon, so you can go check out those two read-alouds. On Wednesday, we had two behind the book reviews where I let you know how do you use these books as a resource to raise children who are more intentional around their organization. And then today's episode, Friday, we're wrapping it all up with this episode of the Teacher Lady Speaks, a crash course or professional development and how to raise children who are just a bit more intentional around organization. And who knows, maybe you'll learn a thing or two for yourself. You ready? Let's grow. Defining the topic for a child. Organization has to do with you being able to access the things when you need them, right? So if you think of a space that's organized and you need a pencil, how long does it take to grab a pencil? It doesn't take long. Now imagine the pencil is behind the bed and your shoe is in the closet, but the other shoe is downstairs and everything just feels like it's chaotic and all over the place. Well, that's organization. Organization is the process of putting things in order. And in terms of time management, well, if we don't effectively manage our time, then we won't get anywhere when we need to be there. And they might ask for an example in which I would say, do you remember when we went to the doctor's last Wednesday? And they might say, yeah, well, we had to be there at 10 a.m. But because we didn't get there until 10:30, we had to reschedule and they weren't able to see us. And they might say something like, well, that's not fair. But then you can counter that. Well, if we were to be seen when we were 30 minutes late, that would have made the next person late. And then the rest of the schedule would have been thrown off. So the importance of time management is to make sure that everybody gets taken care of, that we're where we need to be, and that the services that we need can be provided for, but that also the people around us are able to operate in a way in which they need to. So time management is important because it is considerate. It's an act of thoughtfulness to respect people's time, but also it is our way in society of how we manage our day-to-day task and scheduling. So I would just explain some of that to children. I feel like books are definitely an effective resource and a way to get them to understand some of these concepts. But there will be some examples throughout the episode that will help you get your child to get it a little bit more, okay? Now, every single week on the Teacher Lady Show, we look at the curriculum of two states. We look at the curriculum of the state of Texas and we compare it to the state of California so that we have a better understanding of what your child might be learning on the topic when it comes to public schools in those states. So in the state of California, organization and time management are embedded across multiple frameworks, including the California Health Education Standards, English Language Arts Framework, Transformative Social and Emotional Learning, or TSEL competencies. Beginning in grades 3 to 5, students are expected to develop goal-setting skills, practice decision-making, manage responsibilities, and reflect on how habits impact learning and well-being. California's TSEL framework emphasizes self-management agency, and executive functioning, which include planning, organizing materials, managing time, and persisting through tasks. These skills are reinforced through project-based learning, writing assignments, and collaborative classroom routines that require students to plan, monitor, progress, and adjust when necessary. So I would say that California actually has a lot embedded into their curriculum in terms of wanting children to be self-sufficient, wanting them to be organized, and wanting them to understand time management. They'll definitely get some practice with the various school projects, classroom assignments, and just overall what it means to be a student in a school environment. And so I would say that there is a lot embedded in the curriculum. Now, I always put the asterisk or the caveat that just because the educator is teaching it does not necessarily mean that the child is learning it. Okay, so whether or not a child learns the information heavily depends on how their brain processes things, if they're interested in the topic or not, and if that teacher is teaching in a way that is going to resonate with the child. Okay, so if it's important, you make sure that you teach it at home, which clearly you're going to do because you're watching this episode. Okay, moving on to the state of Texas. Texas Classroom supports these skills through independent work, expectations, project timelines, and routines that encourage students to track assignments, manage materials, and reflect on productivity and effort. Okay, so I would say that both states this week do definitely cover time management and organization, with both states having emphasis on working with other students in order to develop some of these practices. Now, here are some resources that might help you and your children better manage their time and kind of take initiative when it comes to personal organization. So the first resource is the Child Mind Institute. They have an executive functioning skills resource. So that's childmind.org/topics/concerns and then executive-functioning. Okay. Child Mind Institute offers clear research-based explanations of how executive functioning skills like planning, organizing, and time management develop in children. Their tools help families understand why kids struggle and how to scaffold skills without shaming or punishment. Activities and strategies are designed to be practiced at home in small, realistic steps. This resource is especially helpful for children who experience being overwhelmed, have ADHD, or anxiety, anything pertaining to struggles around task management. Okay. The next resource is called understood.org, Organization and Time Management for Kids. And this is understood.org. So Understood provides hands-on tools, visual schedules, checklists, and habit building strategies tailored to how kids' brains actually work. Their content helps children practice organizing backpacks, managing homework time, and breaking tasks into manageable steps. The next resource we're going to discuss is Take Charge Today, Executive Function Toolkit. So Take Charge Today offers a toolkit designed specifically for helping children build executive functioning skills like planning, organizing, and task initiation. Their materials include age-appropriate worksheets, visual planners, and challenges that guide children in practicing skills through play and routine. The next resource is going to be from Donna Goldberg, The Organized Student. This site provides principal planners, checklists, and organized systems tailored for students, including elementary ages. The resources help children learn how to track assignments, develop routines for home spaces, and practice prioritizing tasks in a child-friendly way. The next resource is great for so many different topics, and that's going to be Khan Academy. So Khan Academy has a life skills and study habits resource. That's khanacademy.org/college-careers. Now, don't let the word college throw you off. A lot of this is really effective for adults. A lot of it is really effective for children. So Khan Academy's life skills section includes lessons on planning, prioritizing, goal setting, and managing workload. It is presented in a child-friendly language. Many activities allow children to practice pacing tasks and reflecting on how they use their time. Okay. And the last resource I am going to share for today, of course, if you need more, to go onto my website, scroll all the way to the bottom and give me your email so that I can send you more. But for now, I'm going to bring your attention to Go Noodle. Go Noodle is great because it supports time management through movement, brain breaks, and transition routines that help children reset and focus. So much of working with children and trying to get them to be organized, they're very antsy and they lose attention spans very quickly. And that's why when I was in a classroom full time, it was a lot of moving, a lot of higher energy, because I'm trying to keep you with me. I need you engaged so that you can learn the information. And so what I appreciate about Go Noodle is it is an intentional break for that child. It is built-in time that they get to go do deep breathing exercises or get their, wigglies out, and so that they can come back and they can refocus. Best practices. So the first best practice is to create consistent routines. I feel like when we're trying to get children involved in being more organized and being more aware of their time, having a routine is going to help a ton. And when I say routine, I don't mean like rigid, like we're doing this at 10 a.m., we're doing this at 11 a.m. But what is their morning routine? When they get up in the morning, make their bed, brush their teeth, wash their face. What do they do at night? They take a bath, do their homework. And so whatever the things that you want them to do consistently, start to implement it in the thought process of a routine, where these are the things that you do in the morning. These are the things you do in the evening and the day you're at school. And that helps. I would even create a routine for weekends. Again, you don't need to get them up for 8 a.m. Let them babies sleep. They're exhausted from a long week. But when you do get up, keep the routine. So if Monday through Friday, when you wake up, the expectation is to make up your bed, then now on Saturday and Sunday, when you wake up, you should still be making up your bed. If the expectation is to pray, regardless of the day of the week, you should pray. If you're washing your face in the morning and at night, if it's morning, you should be washing your face. If it's night, you should be washing your face. And so having these general things that they're committed to every day and that they consistently do is going to help to build that habit. The next best practice is for them to start to understand time by missing things. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean, we have to hurry up and get to Jessica's birthday party. Her birthday party is at 11 a.m. It's 10:50 and you're just getting out of bed. Your alarm went off, you turned it off, you decided to roll back over, and now I've got to get to work myself and you cannot go. That is called a natural consequence. A natural consequence is when the consequence of that person's actions directly correlate with what it is that they did. So in this case, it was time to go to a birthday party, but you didn't get up and get dressed. Now, a lack of planning on your part does not equal an emergency on mine. So you just do not get to go. That is a natural consequence. So definitely having consequences be natural will help children figure out the importance and the value of time management. Because if we want our children to do the thing, they have to have buy-in. Okay. Otherwise, you are dragging an elephant uphill. It is so difficult to get children to do anything that they do not see value in. And when they start missing out on a birthday party, when they start not getting a ride to school and they got to get on a bus instead, or whatever that consequence is, not because you're mean, but because you literally have a life too, they'll start to understand and respect time a little bit more. The next best practice is going to be visual schedules that reflect that child. So this is especially if your child is like, I would say 10 and under. Having their visual schedule be a cartoon that resembles them, or, a character that they like, something that is going to correlate with their identity, and creating one. So they have ones on iPads, but it's also pretty simple to create. What you're going to do is you're going to design it on a computer, like a Word document or a Canva, and then you're going to get it laminated. And then you're going to print out whatever the thing is. So if they need to brush their teeth, you can have a to-do column and you can have done, okay? And all of their Velcro things can be in the corner. And so when they do it, It'll start off in to-dos, and then when they do it, they can switch it over to done, and then they can reset it for the next day. And what that does is it lets children feel like they're accomplishing something. And so many reward systems are effective if it feels like they're doing the thing, if it feels like they're winning at the thing. So them just moving their little picture of a toothbrush and toothpaste to done is another thing that I got to do that day. It's important. It's valuable. The same as the reward system of marbles, where you might have something specific that you're working on with your child, and every time they do that thing, they get a marble. When that marble jar fills up, maybe you go do something special. And that can be trying to get them to wear their house shoes. It can be trying to get them to be at the door ready to go with their backpack at 8 a.m. Whatever the task that you're working on, when they actually do it, you put a marble in. Now, on the flip side of that, if they don't do it, we're not taking marbles out. We're just giving attention to what we want them to do. We're giving attention to the behaviors that we're wanting to see an increase in. Okay. So I feel like the marble system and the visual schedules definitely kind of have the same idea of feeding that reward system in a way that does enact change when it comes to children and their decisions. The next best practice is to literally change the time. So I do this in my life. I had a history of running late. And after having a husband and a child, it was already a lot for me to get out the door. Then you add other people to the mix, and everybody needs something different. And we were just consistently running late. And my husband will tell you quickly, prior to our marriage, he was always on time. So clearly I'm the problem. Regardless, I did find a solution. And that solution is whatever I schedule, I change it an hour. So if I have a lunch date at noon, I literally put it into my planner for 11 a.m. The reason being is I find that I used to be about 15, 20 minutes late, and now I'll get there and I'll have time to just breathe, see if I got something in my teeth, check an email. Like, it just gives me that extra bit of time. And funny enough, even though I've been doing it for a while, my brain still has not figured out to add additional time. And so that is another resource, is if you want your child ready at 3 o'clock, tell them 2 o'clock. If you need to be somewhere at 4 o'clock, put it in your phone as 3 o'clock, because that will help to effectively manage time and to get places on time. And it is a life skill. I mean, you will miss out on job opportunities being late. You will damage relationships being late. You will waste your time being late. Things have to get rescheduled. There's cancellation fees. There's late fees. A huge part of being a successful human is being able to manage your time. And so all these little tricks are things that you should try out until you find something that works for your family. The next best practice is around the organization of their bedroom. For children that struggle to keep their room clean, having a checklist is going to be crucial. You sending a child who is already scatterbrained and saying, go clean your room, is only going to stress you both out. They need direction. And so in that checklist being as specific as possible, or in your instruction being as specific as possible, is going to help. This is especially effective for children who do have ADHD, children who have taught with ADHD. I have them repeat the task. And so I'll give them a task and then they'll repeat it. So the task might be, hey, you need to go get a pencil from the pencil box. And they, while they're practicing, will say, I'm going to go get a pencil from the pencil box, going to go get a pencil from the pencil box, going to go get a pencil from the pencil box, going to go get a pencil from the pencil box. Sometimes they have to verbalize what it is they're doing to be able to finish that task while that muscle is building. Doesn't mean they'll be like that for the rest of their life, but it does help them to focus. And the same is true with your child when you're trying to get them to clean their room. We're not going to say, hey, go clean your room. Instead, I need you to take all of your hair bows off your dresser and put them in your hair bow box. That's it. Okay, great. When it's done, come let me know. And then I need you to pick up all your clothes off the floor and put them in a dirty clothes hamper. Now, again, as parents, caregivers, educators, whatever, we're busy. So a checklist is extremely effective. What does it look like for their dresser to be cleared? What does it look like for their bed to be clean or for that floor to be cleared? And that helps anytime there is a huge task and it comes to organizing. Breaking it down to small bites where you can get the win is going to help so much. We are constantly trying to get the win, constantly aiming to make our children feel like they've done something right because it helps with the behavior we want to see. So break those tasks down. And then next is a bit of an argument right now. I do feel like if that child is cognitively able, physically able, they should be cleaning up after themselves. Now, there are times where we all need a mental health break and we're all too stressed out to even wash our own dishes. And in those moments, there is nothing wrong with showing up in kindness and giving your child a chance to breathe. But if you do not teach them, they will not be taught. If you're constantly cleaning up after them, if you're constantly changing your schedule because they're not ready, because they didn't take whatever time commitment seriously, they will not learn the skills needed to be as successful as they could in adulthood. So many of the things that we struggle with as adults started as children. They started in childhood. So you can love on your child and you can support them without cleaning and doing everything for them. Building that independence is going to be extremely effective. And then my last best practice is when it comes to organization, it feels like the backpack is doomsday. Okay. So once a week, I would have it so where they're clearing out their backpack or their cubby at school, wherever it is that keeps that clutter, just so that it doesn't pile up and get too overwhelmed. And again, if this is something that overwhelms them, how do we sandwich it into something that feels good? So when you finish, clearing out your backpack, we can go take the dog for a walk to the park. And maybe the park is something that they really enjoy. Make sure that they have something that they're looking forward to, something that's going to feed their kind of reward center of their brain and make them feel good, because all of these things help. So hold them accountable. Use natural consequences as much as possible. Use the Velcro system, kind of like a visual scheduler, checklist. Break things into smaller tasks and teach children focus when it comes to what it is that they're doing or need to be doing. Okay. All of these are some best practices that might help in terms of getting your child on board with being more organized in their life and having more effective time management skills. When to seek help. I would say for this section that as a child, I don't know that I would go and necessarily seek like medical support or medical attention because my child is extremely disorganized. I feel like we need to understand that children are learning, that they are figuring out a lot of things at the same time. And so for this one, I don't have any like outrageous concerns. Instead, I just think that we continue with the best practices listed, continue trying to get them involved in keeping their space in order, having them understand the importance of a clean area, and, even things that conflict, like if your room is a mess and then you want to have company over, that's uncomfortable for them. And maybe you're okay with that, but it's not okay for other people to be uncomfortable in a space that you invited them to. And so all of these kind of things will help. I don't think, unless it's just a dire emergency, that you need to seek any additional kind of resources and support. Sometimes guidance counselors can be good for helping to get the child to be more organized and kind of look at their schedule and be a bit better on their planning side. But overall, they're probably okay. Just give them a little bit of time to figure it out. Okay, common questions. My child is so smart, but they're extremely disorganized. So yeah, that makes sense. Like I said, children's brains are all over the place. As adults, our brains are all over the place. And organizing is a practice, so give it time, give them these small tasks, let them accomplish it, and then keep going from there. Should I manage everything for them? Absolutely not. If you want to build independence with your child, you are going to have to let them figure some things out for themselves, implement those natural consequences I was discussing, take a step back and support without doing it for them all the time. And it makes it special when you do step in, because I'm used to doing my own laundry. And now for this week, my mom has agreed to do it. So it feels good. But you want them to be independent. You want them to be effective in their time management and their organization. And to be honest, as the caregiver, as the parent, you're already managing a lot. Give that back to the child if they can, allow them to, and give them even simple responsibilities like feeding the dog or tying out the trash, even if they don't take it outside, to start to build the fact that you are part of community and we do all need help. So all of those things are important, but no, do not just do things for them. The next question is, what if schedules stress my child out? Again, we're all stressed out. Schedules stress a lot of people out, but it is how we communicate in our country. This is how we figure out when to go to lunch and what time school starts and ends. It is a huge part of life. And so being stressed is part of that until you find your rhythm and your routine. And at that point, it'll all work out. And the last question, help me. My child moves extremely slowly without a care in the world. So for this, give them extra time. Build in the extra time. Let them know. Get them an alarm clock, and get them an alarm clock that requires them to get out of bed in order to actually stop the alarm. Like, there are alarm clocks now where you have to do a math equation before it stops ringing, just to really get your brain up and running. And so, if they seem like they're kind of careless and all over the place and they don't care about time, definitely getting them an alarm clock, definitely the natural consequences, and ultimately giving them time to figure it out. There are a lot of 30-year-olds that can't get to work on time. Okay, so we're talking about young children going through a bunch of hormonal changes, DNA changes, and all of these things are practices. That's why they're in the best practice section, because we want them to start. They don't have to be perfect, but they do have to start. And then lastly, communicate and work with that child's educator on supporting them with their organization, because if they are struggling with organization at home, they are definitely struggling at school. That desk probably look all sorts of crazy, okay? The backpack, so on and so forth. So working with the educator or the guidance counselor to figure out some techniques and some ways to manage that is all going to be helpful. It's so interesting to me, because in working with children who have ADHD, the things that help them most are also hardest for them. And so when their desk is clear, when papers are properly sorted in piles and things are even color coordinated and just assembled a certain way, it actually really helps. But it's more challenging to get them to do that thing. And that's why the intentional focus and concentration is going to help those children, regardless of whether or not they're diagnosed, because children, again, their brains are all over the place. Okay. Wow. Thank you for another week. Thank you for learning with me, for growing with me, for being part of this book loving community. If you did not know, I am also an author and an illustrator, and I encourage you to go check out my work. Go support it if this channel has been helpful for you. Now, those books encouraged a program called the Empathy Library, which is a pay-it-forward book program to get children books that reflect them. Okay, so you can go on the website, check out the Empathy Library, check out my books, these services that I offer. And until next time, you remember to enjoy the moment, or go be a joy in the moment. Bye.